Good to see everybody. Tony Katz today. Still a couple things to do, but better and fancy, although I think it does change the lighting a little bit. I got to work on that. Griff Jenkins of Fox News scheduled to be with us. The capture of this MS-13 gang leader, a big story and a much bigger story about what the Biden administration didn't do. That is all coming right up. I grabbed for the show the Melania Maduro. Oh, I grabbed the Maduro. Oh, well, I guess I can live with that. Glad you guys are here. This is Tony Katz today. Let the show begin.
Instead of accepting responsibility, Secretary Hegseth attacked the journalist. Amazing. Amazing. It's like an Alice in Wonderland world, and called him deceitful. He pointed fingers. He blamed the liberal media, moaned about hoaxes. Mr. Hegseth, this is not a hoax. It's very real and very serious. You should not be in your job.
Well, if Chuck Schumer says you should not be in your job, I guess that's it. Nothing left to talk about. You can just pack it up, everybody. Chuck Schumer said you shouldn't be in your job. No, it's all right. It's all right. Just leave what you're doing. Leave your work there. Somebody else will get it. Chuck Schumer decides who goes into a job now. Chuck Schumer, that's right. No, you got it. The outgoing Senate Majority Leader. He doesn't know it yet. He still thinks he's safe. It's adorable. He doesn't think Pete Hegseth should have a job. No one cares. No one cares at all. It is meaningless, drivel nonsense. Even for those of us who can say quite clearly that a reporter was on that discussion group regarding Yemen is insane. Whoever put the reporter on there, that's the person who should be fired. And maybe Signal isn't the place for these conversations. We can say that. The Biden administration said Signal was fine to use. Now, all of a sudden, it's not. Maybe it never was. The point is, use something better. Don't make this mistake twice. No one has to get fired, although I don't mind if someone does get fired. But it's Pete Hegseth? How about this, Chuck Schumer? You take a look at the previous defense secretary who went AWOL and see what you said then, which was, I believe the clinical term is nothing. You said absolutely nothing. And now you want this. When you play political, we're not interested. When you are being logical, then we'll talk. But we both know, Chuck, that's not happening. You'll be out of the Senate before you ever get logical. Tony Katz today. What are you doing, everybody? 833-GOT-TONY, 833-468-8669, 833-GOT-TONY. That's the number. That's how you get to be a part of the show. Live streaming, wherever it is you get your live streams, whether it's on the Twitter X, at Tony Katz, or YouTube Tony Katz. We are right there for you, and be a part of what we're doing. It's not the top story, and there's a lot of stories today. Yes, the Signal is a subject happening for the people in DC, not for the people living real lives. No. We can argue that the big story is, of course, the capture of this MS-13 gang leader, the guy who ran the East Coast.
This is what happens when you let good cops be cops. And we're going to continue to let good cops be cops across this country. President Trump gave us the executive decision to go after and safeguard our communities. General Bondi is our warrior of justice leading that charge. Governor Youngkin, it's an honor to be a partner in this operation with you and U.S. Attorney Siebert. This is a mandate we have. Right now, we have an American dying every 7 minutes from a drug overdose. That is a national security crisis we have not seen ever before. We have a woman or child being raped every 6.5 minutes in this country. We have a homicide twice an hour. No part of that metric is a safe and secure America. But thanks to the brave leadership of this administration and the folks that you see here, we are returning our communities to safety. As you heard, we took down this morning a top leader of MS-13. That is not done easily. That is done with brilliant law enforcement.
That's Kash Patel, the director of the FBI. And the governor of Virginia was very, very clear. The other administration wouldn't help us. The Trump administration, the help was immediate. You can talk about the Signal app all you want. And I'm not saying that there aren't things to discuss about the Signal app, but it won't mean nothing to the American people compared to this. Getting the gang element off the streets. Meanwhile, Trump is still getting pushback because you have this 3-judge panel from the Fifth Circuit saying, sorry, you cannot engage in these deportations of Venezuelan gang members. But what they're saying is a little more nuanced than that. What they're saying is you cannot use the Alien Enemies Act as your method or your reason, your rationale for the deportation. This brings up a fascinating argument, and this one is a legal argument. If the Alien Enemies Act is an act utilized when you are at war with a nation, well, who makes that determination? You would think that being at war would mean something declared. Who declares war? Congress declares war. But we can argue Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution says that the United States will provide to each citizen a Republican form of government, and will protect the nation from invasion, which is what we would decide this is. Is that something that has to be declared by Congress in order to work? Man, that's a good question. That is, sip your bourbon on the bar stool and figure that one out. The point that we should get at from this is that what I believe, and I got this from Shannon Bream over there at Fox, and she's very good at what she does, and it's a really interesting argument. That what this panel is saying, this is one of the people on this panel was the one who said that Nazis were treated better than these Venezuelan gang members, which makes me say, well, we should treat Nazis worse and we shouldn't treat Venezuelan gang members better. What a weird thing to say. What a very weird, strange judge, Patricia Millett. She was on this 3-judge panel that you can still engage deportations, just not using the Alien Enemies Act. I don't think that what the court is saying is that the president isn't in charge of immigration and deportations, that the president can still make these moves and maneuvers. They're just saying you can't utilize this because of, well, something that I think the Supreme Court has to make a decision on. Who determines the invasion? The commander-in-chief of the military, the duly elected president of the United States, or Congress? And if you say to me, we need to declare war on the cartels, I'll say to you, what the hell's taking so long? They declared war on us. Where is the story? I have the story about the drones. Here it is. News Nation had the story. Cartel drones pose threat to U.S. service members on border duty. But we've known this. We know that the cartels have ramped up against Border Patrol. It's a war. The only people who don't know this are the American left. Do we have to declare war on Mexico? How does one declare war on a criminal organization, on a terrorist organization? How does one declare war in that way? We didn't see this one coming. The Constitution doesn't have a framework for such a thing. Well, if not, may I be the first to say, let's declare war on Mexico to allow us the opportunity to go about safeguarding the country. And if you say to me, you can't do that, I'll say to you, that's not an argument I'm willing to accept. Because that argument means that we should accept the status quo, that somehow we are subject to the rules of the Constitution and other people are not, that the Constitution is somehow a suicide pact. And the answer is, nah, I don't believe that at all. Not in the slightest, not in any way, shape, or form. It's us or them. I choose us. I'm saying declare war on Mexico. If you're saying to me that's not the answer, give me another answer. And if you tell me the answer is, well, there's not much you can do, that's not an answer. You have to go sit to the side and maybe wear a helmet because you're not okay. You're not okay. We need adults who are willing to actually do the hard work and not be told that you can't do the hard work. Because of course you can. Of course you can protect the country. Just a question of how we want to do it. If we want to declare war on a cartel, okay, just not sure how that one works. We're going to have to figure it out. Those are not actually the stories. Griff Jenkins, Fox News, scheduled to be with us a little bit later to discuss what's going on with the border. Nah, the story for me is the tariffs. There I was I was actually in this chair getting ready to go on Newsmax yesterday, and then the president comes on. He's talking about tariffs, and I got bumped. I got bumped by Donald Trump. Who does he think he is? He gets enough airtime. My gosh. By the way, Newsmax, seriously, how does this not have a job yet? What the hell? Between CNN and Newsmax, I don't know where I'm more disappointed. But this was the president yesterday talking about tariffs.
So this is the beginning of Liberation Day in America. We're going to take back just some of the money that has been taken from us by people sitting behind this desk or another desk that's not quite as nice, but they have their choice of 7, as you know. And we're going to charge countries for doing business in our country and taking our jobs, taking our wealth, taking a lot of things that they've been taking over the years. They've taken so much out of our country, friend and foe. And frankly, friend has been oftentimes much worse than foe. And this is very modest. And what we're going to be doing is a 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the United States. If they're made in the United States, there's absolutely no tariff. We start off with a 2.5% base, which is what we were at. And we go to 25%. And basically, as you know, and as you've been saying, not reporting as accurately as it should be reported because it's a massive story. Business is coming back to the United States so that they don't have to pay tariffs. And I think also because of November 5th, the election, they're very happy.
Now, the 25% tariff on vehicles not made in the U.S., President Trump believes wholeheartedly that he can drive business back to the U.S. You will manufacture in the U.S. and build manufacturing in the United States. And you had Caroline Leavitt basically say the same thing, the White House press secretary, this morning.
And I would just like to emphasize these auto tariffs yesterday are a big deal for auto workers in the industry. And you saw the United Auto Workers Union, Sean Fain, who wasn't the greatest fan of the president on the campaign trail, came out this morning and applauded the president for this move, saying it's a great thing for auto workers who have been sold out by unfair trade practices. So the president is determined to rebuild our manufacturing base. We want more jobs, more products made right here in the United States, which means more money in the pockets of the American people at the end of the day.
It might not mean that. And while Sean Fain is indeed singing your praises,
we are ecstatic to see an administration finally address the unfair trade laws in this country. These laws have destroyed the American working class. They've destroyed communities in this country and virtually every state for decades.
Admittedly, if you're the Democratic Party, you are really gutted by that. And if you're a conservative, you're like, wait a second, why all of a sudden are we taking on Democratic principles? What exactly are we doing here? We don't know yet whether or not it's going to put more money in the hands of the American people, Caroline Leavitt. We don't know. Tariffs or taxes. They are what they are. What if they don't come back? And what if you want that car? What about the people who work at that dealership? Oh, well, on the sales side, on the service side, I don't argue against the reciprocal. Is this the right thing to do? Is this the smart thing to do? What makes you think, well, they're going to move their production to the United States just to avoid a tariff? They've got their own country. Other nations are like, we're not going to lose this company. There is an argument to be made, and it's not being made, that all politics are local. And while you can indeed, when you're the United States, and I'm not saying we shouldn't exert pressure in places, there comes a moment where they say, forget you. Isn't that what Canada's saying? We'll deal with the pain. We'll figure it out. No, there's been no word from Canada over the last week or so. They're going about an election where they have on April 28th. Trump going after Canada has brought the Liberals back to life, and Mark Carney could very well win that election for the Liberals. And Pierre Poilievre is exactly the kind of partner you'd want in this. And even he is like, we're not going to become the 51st state. Why don't you all stop it? This is ridiculous. I don't have anything against the reciprocal. You do it to us, we do it to you. What do you expect? That's standard. The other stuff, I don't know yet if it's helpful. And the idea that other countries won't respond is just super strange. Certainly the idea that's going to put money back in Americans' pockets, I don't know. Is it protectionism? Well, certainly seems that way. Is that a J.D. Vance philosophy? Absolutely. Is it the best one? Again, I don't know. This brings up conversations of Milton Friedman. Dr. Matt Will, economist at the University of Indianapolis, will be with us later to break it down. But President Trump sees Taiwan Semiconductor, and he sees Apple, and he sees Hyundai all making major investments and says, see, it's working. This is his methodology. Time's going to tell. Right now, I am not a believer that all tariffs all the time are the answer. I never have been. Never have been. And I think this is the biggest story of them all. And I'm a guy who, for forever, the border is the biggest story in America. Trump's doing brilliant work there. It's working. And we'll have more on this. I don't know if I can say the same about tariffs, but requires more research, and we will do just that. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Guys, good to be with you. Yeah, so three things. Number one, I no longer talk about the set or my hair. Those are two things, even though I don't know what that is. So the curtain's up. I think it needs an ironing. That's about it. Got a couple of small things to do to kind of enhance everything. It'll be set. I don't know if I like the curtain look. I think I liked the sound panel look. I liked it a little more squared off, but maybe a little softer isn't the worst thing in the world. Always want your opinions on this, for sure. I'm taking a look at all the comments there. Muncie, Indiana. What's going on? We are heard on WMUN. Glad you're here, man. Welcome to the show. No, if I'm going to put it in a fireplace, it's going to be a real fireplace. No green screens. No green screens. No. Thank you, though. The U.S. currently charges 2.5% on cars imported from the UK. That's what the president was talking about, the 2.5% base. I'm only arguing that the economics don't play. Like, the numbers simply don't work to have tariffs being of value in a long term. They just don't. And I get it. And when I talk about it, people are like, why do you hate on Trump? Why? It's not hate. It's an honest look at the situation. That's all there is. And yes, I did put in some time in the camera angle. Notice this is squared away. And then I had Digital Sarah, who runs all our digital work, keeping an eye on things. We got the curtain up. Oh yeah, we did the work. We do it all. For you, there is no end. For you, there is no end to the work that I will do. That's because, and I want to say this directly, I love you. I always have. Did that sound creepy or look creepy? Landon, did it sound creepy to you? Yeah, okay, good, because I wasn't going for that. I did not want to go creepy. That's just unnecessary. Unnecessary. Let everybody know that the live stream is happening and that they should be a part of it. Hold on. Tammy is wow, Tammy. I guess an honest discussion about tariffs is very upsetting for you. Tammy has decided I don't know anything about tariffs. Okay. Just talk to people all the time about it, but sure. You got it. You got it. I disagree on tariffs, and therefore I talk trash about Donald Trump. Can we please? I'm not interested in the idolater crazy. Don't do that crap. It's just so unnecessary. Let's see. It's gonna happen, guys. It's just gonna happen. People are gonna do what they do. Can't get bothered by it. Wish it was different. Wish people would listen, but say lovey. Was it Senator Jim Banks who was looking to defund NPR? I thought it was Senator Banks. He does have the Fridge Act with Senator John Fetterman. Fridge, fortifying refrigeration infrastructure, developing global exports. The Fridge Act. Well named. Well played. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Gets the Department of Agriculture to secure contracts for needed assessments, training, and technical assistance to support infrastructure development, including cold chain storage in emerging foreign markets. And you're like, Tony, that is the most unsexy thing in the world. Yeah, but it is focused on the future, and some of the unsexy things, they matter greatly. I get that it's not something that gets, that makes top line. Just like people say, how dare you question Donald Trump? I'll question Donald Trump anytime I choose. I question everybody. It's part of my charm. Of course you should ask questions. Just so weird. But no, I thought he had a piece out there wanting to defund NPR, which we discussed yesterday. I am so absolutely in favor of, because if you missed the hearing yesterday, and Catherine Marr, who heads up NPR, National Public Radio, and just the admissions of, the lying.
First of all, I do want to say that NPR acknowledges that we were mistaken in failing to cover the Hunter Biden laptop story more aggressively and sooner. Our current editorial leadership,
Wuhan.
We recognize that we were reporting at the time, but we acknowledge that the new CIA evidence is worthy of coverage and have covered it.
You chose not to cover it. You said that the truth is not as important as working together. That's what you said. So yes, defund you. You don't deserve any money at all. You don't. Go out there and earn it. Go out there and speak honestly and clearly and see if people respond to it. I make people angry. I stay at it. And sponsors appreciate it, and the mass of the audience appreciates it. Let's see if your audience will do the same, NPR. Let's see how you survive. And I don't care if you're getting only $1 in funding. It's $1 too much from the American people. And this is who you chose to lead you? Let her lead you to bankruptcy. This is Tony Katz today. Okay, this is gonna be super weird. All right, so Griff is on the line, the one and only Griff Jenkins. So listen, we're live streaming, so I had to patch you through to the live stream So we're not on the radio show yet. That's going to happen in a couple of minutes. So I don't want to take too much of your time. We're back in about 3 minutes. So if you say something, I want you to know you're heard to the live stream audience right now. So if there's anybody you want to talk stuff about, like if you got some like gossip on Brett Baer or Shannon Bream, we'll listen right now.
Listen, I got nothing but good things to say about my colleagues, although I will say that, if I was going to point some fingers and give some grief to some people today, it would be to the previous administration, as I've been doing on the air, talking a lot about, the stark contrast of how Kristi Noem, the DHS secretary, is handling going to this prison, standing in front of violent TVA gang members, compared to, remember when Harris went down to Guatemala in search of root causes and simply said, do not come.
Right. And here's Kristi Noem standing in front of CCOT, this El Salvadorian prison, in front of the prisoners. Yeah, I mean, on a scale of 1 to who saw that coming, like that is a damn bold move. Have you caught anybody saying, how dare she, or, oh my gosh, are you looking at this?
Oh, I mean, there's no shortage of critics of the Trump administration and Kristi Noem in particular out there on social media, on X and the like. But here's the deal. If you're a would-be crosser, or if you're an illegal alien currently in the country and may have committed a crime, and you're looking over her shoulder at that cell and being in a packed cell with all those tattooed violent gang members, you're thinking twice, because if ICE rounds you up and you might get sent there, that seems like a pretty good deterrent to me.
So we're going to get into this, and I don't want you to get into it yet. We still got a couple minutes to get into this MS-13 story. Got about a minute to go on that. I will ask you, while we've got about 30 seconds before we get back to the show, 45 seconds till we get back to the show. Does MS-13 trump the Signal chat gate insanity?
Well, that's a great question. And the short answer is it is certainly a split screen of a news day, if you will, with Democrats trying to get another news cycle, another 24 hours out of calling for Pete Hegseth and others to resign on a story that President Trump has taken on head on and said that this is all ado about nothing. It was a successful mission, and that if there's a problem with Signal, he wants to address it, compared to the administration moving on to bigger and better things, which include rounding up one of the top leaders of MS-13. So it's a real split screen, seeing the Democrats trying to squeeze another 24 hours out of the news cycle versus the administration moving forward on pressing priorities.
All right, we're coming back to the radio show. Stay right there. We're going to get into it with everybody. It is a big deal, this arrest of this MS-13 gang member, because what the Biden administration told us repeatedly was, all you have to do is give me the power, pass this piece of legislation, do this, and finally I could do something about the border. As President Trump said in the joint address, you didn't need new legislation, you just needed a new president. Tony Katz today, good to be with you. Griff Jenkins joins us right now of Fox News. He was covering the border before covering the border was cool. Nobody knows the history better. You catch him, of course, as the host of Fox News Live. And we were just talking in the break before we got back to the radio show. This arrest of the MS-13 gang member, as you know the story, of course, you heard Attorney General Bondi, Kash Patel, director of the FBI, and the governor of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin, all talking about it and singing the praises of the law enforcement community that got this done. Do you have an idea of how long this guy was on the radar and when this operation came into being?
Yeah, Tony, listen, it's great to join you and your great listeners. And let me just say that it was probably, according to some remarks I heard from Governor Glenn Youngkin, it was weeks, if not months in the making. But to say that this is a big get is an understatement. This guy was not only one of the MS-13 bosses, leaders on the East Coast, but he is in the top 3 nationwide in the MS-13 leadership. And you talk about who this guy is. The FBI has not released his name yet because they're having to do the federal prosecution on him. So we will eventually get the details, but we've at least learned this is a 24-year-old guy. But the amount of resources that went into this with the ATF, the FBI, Virginia State Police, ICE, local sheriff, all coming together to pull not only this takedown, but also the investigation to find a guy like this. And what's remarkable that Pam Bondi pointed out, Tony, that matters, and it matters, any law enforcement listener out there will praise me for saying this, no one was harmed in the process. Do you think a 24-year-old that found himself at the top of the MS-13 ladder isn't willing to fight? Yet nobody got harmed. And that's really among the most successful operations. And I think the other takeaway is a little bit of what we talked about in the break that I think is worth noting again is that you're looking at sort of a split screen of a news day, if you will, with Democrats wanting to squeeze another 24 hours of a news cycle out of attacking the Trump administration over the Signal Gate, while the Trump administration showing that they're moving on to pressing priorities like getting rid of an El Salvadoran illegally here that was leading one of the most brutal, dangerous gangs in the country that we are trying now to get out of the country.
Now, when I discussed the fact that you've been covering the border since before covering the border was cool, that's not exaggeration. That is fact. And you certainly saw with your own eyes during the Biden administration the level of hands tied that Border Patrol felt. And you have now seen the other side of that when they're free to go about doing their job. Kash Patel said in Virginia, this is what happens when you let good cops be good cops. Is there a specific policy that can be pointed to that is now being enforced, which is maybe said differently? Were there policies that we can now point to that the Biden administration was clearly proactively limiting and preventing law enforcement from engaging?
Oh, good Lord. How much time do you have?
For you, I got all the time. What do you get? We're good.
To boil it down, you know, it is the Trump administration quickly did away with the CBP One app in the CHNV program that basically legally brought migrants illegally across the border and forced the Border Patrol to release them with a notice to appear. And then in the interior, they were tying the hands of ICE from going out and rounding up guys just like this MS-13 top leader that they just got this morning. And on top of that, you had an administration that was in every way supportive of sanctuary cities, which we now know not only gave great safety to all of these criminals that are being rounded up now, but also really emboldened the cartels because they knew they could put their billion-dollar crime organization into the U.S. and find some sanctuary for it. You look at just earlier this week, the ICE Boston announcing nearly 400 arrests that they did, of which over 200 were violent criminals. They were gangstered. They were gang members of TDA and MS-13. They were trafficking fentanyl. They were child rapists. And one Honduran was a convicted murderer. And, you know, you look at what law enforcement now, the footing they're on, being able to go out and get these bad guys in the Border Patrol that no longer has to spend all of their manpower and all of their personnel doing transporting and processing, releasing migrants under said policies. They're actually out there on the line, as they say, covering areas that the cartels are now struggling to get people and product across.
Talking to Griff Jenkins of Fox News. Catch him on Fox News Live. He is the host over there, and his work all over the Fox News channel. Now we get into what this arrest means for MS-13, because we call it a cartel and we call it criminal, this and that. This is a sophisticated criminal organization. We know that they have ramped up attacks against Border Patrol. There's a real conversation about how one deals with that, whether or not you can pressure Mexico into do something, whether or not there's a military action that can be taken place, that can take place by the United States. But now you're the cartels, knowing a little bit about how they work. Is this a Hydra situation where somebody else just replaces this guy? Or is this disruptive to their work? And does this mean if you've gotten this guy, you now may have things happening where you're getting the other guys as well?
It's a major disruptor, and any law enforcement officer will tell you what it's going to do to the other leadership is going to put them in a existential footing to try and, self-preserve and not get rounded up, because they know that the good guys are on to them. And, I love that you were talking about, what we call them. And I would submit to you, we now call them terrorists. That's why the Trump administration labeled them FTOs, foreign terrorist organizations. And that's what's at the heart of this ruling. The 30-judge panel ruled against the Trump administration that these deportations of the Tren de Aragua guys that were sent to that mega prison in El Salvador, for now, the Trump administration has been ruled against. And so Judge Boasberg's temporary restraining order halting any future flights, like the deportation that they did with the 261 criminal migrants, most of them TDA gang members, under that Alien Enemies Act of 1798, that's on hold now, and it's being blocked, but yet it's going on the fast track by all accounts to the Supreme Court. And the argument that Trump will make is, if you're ruling that this is only applicable under a wartime footing, we are saying that we are at war with this terrorist organization known as Tren de Aragua. And we'll see how it shakes out.
I've had this conversation. I just had a little bit earlier. So it not to bring you in as the legal expert here, but is the Trump administration going to argue that you do not need a declaration of war when you're dealing with a terrorist organization, and therefore the utilization of the Alien Enemies Act is allowable?
Well, we don't know exactly what the Trump administration is going to hang their argument on. Right. But if you look at the ruling, they're pointing to an argument that shapes up between, where do you draw the line between a wartime footing and a transnational criminal organization that has infiltrated the country. And in either case, it's going to come back to the harm done to the country, right? When a military adversary invades the country and harms Americans, there's that. But then you've got these cartels and these TCOs and FTOs like MS-13 and Tren de Aragua bringing the fentanyl that's killing more than wars have killed, that's bringing, these criminal organizations that's setting up shop that we've now documented in 18 states in the country in the case of TDA. And it's going to be quite an argument to make, because it's no doubt that if you were to replace the name TDA with ISIS, would anyone argue against it? No, but it's because under TDA, there are illegal migrants here, criminal aliens that have come across, that somehow there's an argument to be made from the migrant rights groups that they somehow deserve protection. And that's really going to be something interesting to watch and unprecedented, I think, in many ways.
Griff Jenkins, Fox News. Catch him weekends, of course, Fox News Live throughout the Fox News channel. His writings over at foxnews.com. Griff, always appreciate you. Can't thank you enough for being here. More coming up. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. 50 whatever, so I can't figure out what the story is there. So it'll all get worked out. Hey guys, Tony Katz, good to be with you. Tony Katz today. Always appreciate Griff. I just think okay, so I have two theories about Griff Jenkins as a guest. Number one, he really wants to get into the weeds, which is I love. I am pro weeds. I think it's terrific. Number two, I do not think he is invited enough to do radio, to do interviews, and so when he has the opportunity, he has to get it all out. Sometimes I feel like I've got to interrupt him because I got to keep a conversation going. But it's usually good and interesting, and he wants to just bring you everything. I'm like, all right, bring me everything. Meanwhile, I've got Marjorie Taylor Greene with this British reporter right here. Why is that not playing? Hold on a second. Why aren't you playing? That's weird. Oh, that's why.
What about all the women that are raped by migrants?
All right, let's start from the beginning.
Yep. Anybody else?
Should the defense secretary?
What country are you? Wait, what country are you
From
from?
the UK.
Okay, we don't give a crap about your opinion and your reporting. Why don't you go back to your country where you have a major migrant problem?
Okay,
And no. You should care about your own borders.
Do you care
No,
about
no.
American lives being put at risk?
Let me tell you something. Do you care about people from your country? What about all the women that are raped by migrants?
Do you care
No,
about
by migrants. No, do you care? Okay, you're.
All right, I got to bring that to the show, right? You can't just leave that out there, just hanging out there. No way. I have a whole different philosophy on how to do these arguments, but you know what? We'll listen to the whole thing, and then finger on the dump button there, producer Landon, in case Marjorie Taylor Greene gets salty. See, so this is always been my issue with the live streaming. This is the stuff that I'm doing in between. I'm figuring out where I want to be next. Is there something that kind of catches my interest that I want to share? So now it's kind of like you hear it twice, and I don't want it to be dull for you guys. But I don't know if I'm interested in such a wholly finished product. I like a little bit raw. So here we are. All right, we're coming back.
Yep. Anybody else?
Should the defense secretary?
What country are you? Wait, what country are you
From
from?
the UK.
Okay, we don't give a crap about your opinion and your reporting. Why don't you go back to your country where you have a major migrant problem?
Okay, do
And
you
you
care-
no. You should care about your own
Okay,
borders.
Do you care
No,
about
no.
American lives being put at risk?
Let me tell you something. Do you care about people from your country? What about all the women that are raped by migrants?
Do you care
No,
about
by migrants. No, do you care? Okay, you're done.
Do you care about
I'm not.
American lives being put at risk?
You know what? I don't
About
care. I don't.
service members fighting for your country.
I don't care
And
about your
your vice
fake news.
president?
Do you have a
Good gosh. That's is this now the new approach? You're from another country. I don't answer your question. Now, you want to get into the UK subject. I'm more than happy to do it. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think that I would have just handled it differently. That's all. That is all. I would have just handled it differently. What she's bringing up, that's not a bad thing to bring up. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Should I hear any more of this? Because she's going to start cursing. Well, she's not Jasmine Crockett, but all right, finger on the dump button, producer Landon. Let's play a little bit of Radio Russian roulette, shall we? It's just a career, guys. That's all.
relevant question? Yeah, this is an American journalist. Thank you.
I'm American, and I'd like to hear your answer to what she's asking.
I'm not answering her question.
Okay. I think that you can, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Representative Greene, I think that you can answer the question and do what you want. If the question is something about our borders or what have you, you could say, well, this is something that I've addressed many times. And I think that we all as nations should be addressing our borders. Like, let's take a look at the borders at the UK and then go into your thing. You could have done it, right? You don't have to off the quick do that, right? Give them the Heisman, push away. But we should talk about the UK because the UK has a very unique problem. And the very unique problem is at this rate, there will not be a country in 20 years. Now, maybe it's 50 years. Maybe it's 12 years. No matter how you twist and turn, there is no country. You can't have a country that has unfettered immigration and has allowed Islam to take over in so many places and facets. Now, if we want to make an argument here about whose fault this is, I can go back to Queen Elizabeth, rest her soul. Very worried about the royal family, not worried enough about the royal citizenry. It was a mistake. It is obvious that King Charles has zero interest in actually saying that the Church of England, remember that distant relative who made that happen, should make this happen, should be protected, that it should be part and parcel of what we do, as well as the British way of life. This all falls to William. This isn't about watching the royal family. This is about whether or not a royal family will continue to exist. Not at this rate. Not at this rate. It cannot. The United Kingdom is not a kingdom. Whatever it was, it is no longer. Now, yes, you can save it. I am a true believer that you can, but the moment possibly has passed because it's going to involve a tremendous fight that you have to bring the British people to say to those people who want Sharia to be the law of the land and believe that Islam should be the law of the land. And sorry, the answer is no. And if that means we have to fight, okay. It means ending the unfettered immigration that takes place and allowing people who value none of your way of life and allowing them into the nation. It must end. And if the royal family does not push this, it will never happen. And they will soon reign over nothingness. Gosh, that can't be fun. And England will cease to be what it has been. This is Tony Katz today. I don't think I'm saying anything out of school there. I have spent time on this. You're not going to get it from the Liberal Party. And the Tories, they don't seem willing to actually fight at all. This has to come. This must come from the Royals. They must say we want to survive. And if they don't, well, then they won't. Then they won't. With that, we're going to take the break. The radio show is in break right now. Keep it here. Much, much more to get to. Can't tell you how much I love that you guys are here. And don't forget, Von Riest. Oh, look at that. That's the Harborside turquoise right there. This is the Hanoverian from Flederman Von Riest. Thrilled to be working with them as their brand ambassador, sharing the word of this Indiana assembled watch, the beautiful Miyota movement that is in here. And yeah, that's a looker, people. That is a looker. Use promo code CATS, which I hear some of you have been doing. And you will get your discount. And I want you to get that discount. So Von Riest, R-I-E-S-T-E, American assembled, Indiana assembled, vonriest.com. And use promo code CATS, and you will get your discount. Go do that now. Go do that right away. More is coming up. Keep it here, and we'll be back after the radio break. Guys, welcome back. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Did I see? You know what? Not even going to discuss it. This is it. This is it. I should put a monitor there and then it should be broadcasting things. That's what I should put. If you have a comment, I'd love to hear it. Or smoking the Melania Maduro from Oliva or Oliva, depending on how you like to pronounce those things. That right. Come on. There it is. Right there. That is the beauty that I'm working with today. Let's make sure this is well lit. What is the next subject? You tell me. What should we be working on? What should we be discussing next? What is the subject no one's talking about that we should get into here? You tell me, and I will get that done. Oh, pretty sure Landon is asking about Kermit. I will get to Kermit. I do promise I will get to Kermit. I will get to that, and I will. Oh, I got a couple stories I'll get to. See, I already got it. Oh, but you've got comments. How about that? The Indianapolis Colts don't have a quarterback worth of crap. I don't know if that makes national news for a syndicated radio show, but why not? No, we're not. We're not going to be doing. We're not going to be doing that.
About them having trouble with numbers to get through the so-called big deal.
Oh, good Lord. These
Republicans are in
Democrats.
free fall right now. House Republicans are fighting with Senate Republicans. Senate Republicans are fighting with House Republicans. House Republicans are fighting with each other because you've got a group of people who are uncomfortable with the fact that they were forced as House Republicans in so-called swing districts to vote for the largest Medicaid cut in American history.
The delusion of Hakeem Jeffries continues. This is what happens when you know you can't lead. Oh, the other guy is in free fall. We call that projection. Here he is, flanked by a sign that says Republicans are breaking Social Security. That's not happening. But can we at least discuss that Social Security cannot go on as is? When do we honestly discuss this, Hakeem Jeffries? But you're so afraid, not only afraid of the American people, why don't you do something about Jasmine Crockett? Is that ever going to come? The Republicans are in free fall. Have you taken a look at where your approval numbers are? Good gosh. This is continually embarrassing. You bungled with just a stunning amount of hubris the entirety of the continuing resolution. You couldn't answer the question about Chuck Schumer, and now you're saying Republicans are in free fall. That is something. Tony Katz today. So good to be with you. Find everything I do over at TonyKatz.com. The important part here is not that we don't admit to ourselves when Republicans have a bad day, but rather what is important here is that we say clearly that someone is grasping at straws, and this is grasping at straws. Today, the Trump team were able to put the leader of the East Coast side of MS-13 behind bars. What disarray are you talking about? What possible disarray? But when you have nothing else, when you have nothing else you can connect to, you say this. Remember, it was, what was his name? The Ragin' Cajun with syphilis. James Carville. And you asked me, Tony, does he have syphilis? Well, I don't know. He accused Donald Trump of having syphilis, so I just thought that's what we do now. It was syphilis, right? That's what he accused him of. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not up on my sexually transmitted diseases, so I don't know. It's seemingly James Carville may know more about it than I do. I don't know how he knows. Maybe he just studied a lot. Maybe it was something else. Who am I to say? Maybe you have to ask James Carville. That's how you do it, right, James? You just put something out there and then you say, "Oh, ask him." Right? It's the Harry Reid methodology. Mitt Romney doesn't pay his taxes. Well, how do you know that? Well, don't ask me. Ask Mitt Romney why he doesn't pay his taxes. So syphilis James Carville. What? Wait, I'm not allowed to say that? Hold on. Am I not allowed to say? I have to be held to a standard where James Carville can wear those shirts on television, say anything he wants? By the way, I'm looking very lumberjack today. I'm wearing like a blue kind of plaid thing. I don't think people are used to seeing me so casual because usually I'm a suit and everything. I should probably get back to that. But I think it's a good look. I think I look the right kind of beefy in this. I ain't gonna lie. I keep up that talk. I may learn about the syphilis too. James Carville said that Trump was going to fall apart. The whole administration was going to fall apart in 6 weeks. What was that? That was projection. Pushing something out there to make a claim to this idea of it's all terrible for them and try and engage this self-fulfilling prophecy, this wish casting, if you will. That's exactly what Hakeem Jeffries is doing. I don't think Trey Yingst is doing that. Trey Yingst is a reporter over at Fox, and he covers Israel, has been covering the war in Gaza, has been covering the brutality of Hamas and the Palestinians. In the same breath, he has been very, very vocal about the murder of journalists, including Palestinian journalists. He himself being a journalist, he himself covering these war zones. He is not shy about it. And I don't think as a matter of, I'm going to use the word nobleness, but I certainly don't mean it in any level of mocking or disparaging. He is serious about it. He means it. That reporting the story, telling the story, sharing the story is incredibly important. And we need to every extent, ensure that those people get to do so. We rely on those people. Now, certainly there are journalists who work for the other side, and certainly there are journalists who are duplicit, without question. But his argument is these journalists should not be targeted in any way. I appreciate it. And I think that if we were living in the utopian landscape, we could say, I hear you. But there was a story of an Al Jazeera journalist, and I'm going to put journalist in air quotes, named Hassam Shabbat. It could have been Shabbat. I believe it's Shabbat. He was killed in an Israeli airstrike, and Israel took heat for this. Israel is now confirming, the IDF saying, that this reporter was an active member of Hamas. In October of 2024, our friends at Legal Insurrection, William Jacobson, exposed Shabbat and 5 other Al Jazeera journalists as members of Hamas or of other Islami jihadi terrorist groups. It was based on documents recovered by the Israeli Defense Forces during the military operation in Gaza. I, again, don't hold a single bit of ill will against Trey Yingst. I think he does absolutely incredible work, respectable work, and I have nothing but respect for the man. But we saw that the United Nations supports terrorism. We saw that the United Nations, through the United Nations Relief Works Agency, for Palestinian refugees, giving this money and this support, proactively worked to help plan October 7th and worked to help those connected with Hamas. They are guilty, which is why I not only believe in the defunding of UNRWA, UNRWA altogether, I believe in absolutely removing ourselves from the United Nations and starting again. They can go find a place to do their work in Moscow. We take back the building. Maybe we turn that into condos and a very large Dave & Buster's, because I like 2-story laser tag. And then they used to have this game. You guys did not know me when I was training to be a sandwich shop manager in Chicago. Oh, Tony has had a life. And we would go when we had time off to this, I call it an arcade, kind of a casino, actually. They had this game where you raced horses. It was all screens. It was incredible. But you also trained the horses, and how you fed them mattered, and how you treated them mattered, right? Some horses needed a more attention. Some horses needed a stronger hand. And then you would build up the race horses, and you were racing and everything else. I don't know why. I brought that up. Right? The argument, I don't know why I just brought that up. Why did that come to my mind? Oh gosh, I haven't thought about that in a great number of years. I swear to you, it's going to come back to me. It popped into my head as part of this conversation about Al Jazeera journalists. I state to you as clear as day that the trust level is not there. If you tell me that someone is connected to Al Jazeera, I'll tell you that's somebody who is involved in engaging in a full-on propaganda attack against Israel. I mean, that's proven at this stage of the game. So somebody who is a journalist there is somebody I would question. And that somebody who's a journalist there could also be working for Hamas, I totally, absolutely believe. And yes, I brought up the arcade game because I want to turn the United Nations into an arcade and a Dave & Buster's. That's where it was. And I completely lost myself in thinking about the arcade game. Oh, I'm human just like everybody else. It's undoubtedly true that if we support the United Nations, we're supporting attacks against allies, which become attacks against ourselves. And it is without a question true that if we are not clear about these organizations and their so-called reporting, well, we're giving them license to engage in propaganda and worse. Do I believe the IDF? In this case, I do. In this case, I believe they have the data. And I certainly believe in what it is that legal insurrection has put together here. This isn't a journalist. So Trey Yingst is correct. We should not target journalists. I agree. I concur. I think he's right. I think we should say so. But believing Hamas, it's like believing the Gaza Health Ministry. How could you believe such a thing? It's all made up. It's all a lie. And yet we have news outlets out there that still report numbers. Oh, the Gaza Health Ministry says so-and-so many people are dead this week or have died. It's all propaganda. And I don't believe we should be asked to take a look at this situation and say a journalist was killed. That is not the case. A Hamas sniper was killed. We should not be asked to say, well, what about all the good work the United Nations does? What good work? Siding with despots? The only good work will be when I get to take you all to the UN arcade and show you how to play this insane horse game that I can't remember the name of, but it was so good. The hours spent because the job wasn't. I was not meant to manage a sandwich shop. I did so for a short amount of time. That was a mistake. That was me saying I can do more than this. And maybe if I'd owned the sandwich shop, it'd be different. But it wasn't for me. It was not where I should be, and I knew it. And that's an interesting time in my life. We'll go over it another day. Every time a story comes out, your job is to check, double check, and recheck. Your job is to say, okay, this is what they're telling me. Now what is real? It, yes, involves you doing the work. And it stinks. Because it's like, why can't you just trust these outlets? It's Al Jazeera. They are not people on the up and up. You want to talk about the differences between their different languages and how they do their reporting? Holy cow. That is a well-documented story. Protecting journalists, sure. Actual journalists, this guy wasn't. Engaging other nations to create a better world, absolutely. The UN can't do it. And we don't need that big building. Condos, arcade, the horse game, and maybe somebody who brings you a beer every now and again, which, by the way, sounds great. I think that would be a big success. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. I got so thinking about that horse game. That's so funny. Maybe send me the link. Final Furlong. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I got so into thinking about that game. That is too funny. Yeah, let me see. Let me see if producer Landon has that right there. Nope. You were not on an actual horse. No, that was not it, but it was incredible. Incredible. Guys, welcome. Tony Katz. Good to be with you. Tony Katz Today right here. I have no idea. Send me the link. Let's see. What do we got, guys? Thank you. Wow. I don't know if people in the stream could watch. Good Lord. All right. Let's see what we've got next, people. The stream is a completely different show than the radio show. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Like different how, Tyler. Much more of a real Tony. Oh, it's all me. It's all me. I don't. It's not different in that way. This is it. It's called Derby Owners Club. That's it. The name of the game is the Derby Owners Club. Yeah, I guess it was a Sega game. Yes, because those are the kind of seats that it had. Yeah, it was really something else. It was crazy. It was nutty. Ah, there we go. I wonder if anybody's talking right now. 30 seconds heard. But am I really filtered on the radio show? It's just, I mean, this gives you the behind the scenes for sure. For sure. Although I got to admit, I don't think it's streaming to all the places today. I don't know what's going on. I don't think it's streaming properly in the slightest. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I don't think is it on X? 'Cause I don't see it. I do not see it at all. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., you've seen pictures. He has he's done some push-ups in his day. The plan is for the Department of Health and Human Services to cut 10,000 jobs. Really, just me? Thank you. Thank you there, producer Landon. You get to have your job one more day. Tony Katz today. What are you doing, boo-boo? Find everything at TonyKatz.com if you would. And don't forget, April 17th, Trump and American Reset in 3 bourbons. A look back at the first 100 days. It is going to be just sensational. The food from Big Hoffa's Barbecue, one of the top 100 barbecue places in America, according to the people at Yelp. The bourbon selection is going to be ridiculous. And, of course, the cigars afterwards. You're going to laugh your head off. It's going to be so good. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. I know you may not live in the area. I'm fully aware of that. I'll bring it to you guys. I will bring it to you. Or you can come on out for it. Come on out. It'll be a good time. It'll be a good time. You know what? I'll even provide desserts. You come out. I'll get you cake or maybe a cookie or maybe some kind of soft serve. I don't know. Not for you, producer Landon, for good people. People who actually traveled. People who care. Kennedy is going to cut 10,000 jobs. This is how it gets reported over at CNBC. The reductions could affect teams that respond to disease outbreaks, approve drugs, and help people with their insurance coverage. There is never a moment where these people can't admit, all right, maybe we've got too many people. Maybe we got to cut a few people. No. Every single last government employee is the linchpin. And without them, society falls apart. You mean all of them? All of them. Well, what if we hire 1,000 more? Then it's the single most important 1,000 people ever, and you can't fire them either. It's an unserious position to take. We have too much bloat. We have too many people. Again, we ask the key question. Does the institution exist to serve the citizen, or does it exist to prove the need for the institution? If you can't fire anybody, well, then you're saying that serving is inconsequential. These are in addition to the 10,000 employees who opted to leave since Trump has taken office through the voluntary separation offers. They are going to lead the federal health department, shedding about a quarter of its workforce, shrinking it to 62,000 employees. So you had 80,000 employees? Did you really need 80,000 employees? Has anyone discussed whether or not the federal government being the largest employer is a problem? Because I'm going to say, hey, how are you? It's a problem. $1.7 trillion is what Health and Human Services does. Vaccines won't get approved. You have no proof of this. People are going to become destitute and die. You have no proof of this. This is the fear mongering. Fear mongering is not a way to run a country. And it's not an argument that's going to work. That'll work on weak people. It's not going to work on decent people. It's not going to work on people who are sick and tired of being told we have to pay more, we have to give more, and we have to accept the answers from on high more without being able to ask a question. No. Let's see what these cuts do, and then let's see where we can cut some more. This is Tony Katz Today. Be back. Welcome, everybody. Tony Katz Today. Today we are recording Eat, Drink, Smoke, My Cigar and Bourbon show, eatdrinksmokeshow.com. And Saturday is National Hot Chicken Day. So we are reviewing Joella's Hot Chicken today. And they're not a sponsor, and there's lots of other hot chicken out there. That's just what we're doing. We are going to review the hot chicken. That is the plan. All right, and thank you. The X stream is there. Yeah, Landon said so. It's just I don't know. Usually it shows up differently for me, so I'm wondering if just something didn't work as normal. That's all. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. "30 seconds heard." All right. I think I've got everything together now. Let me see what that is. All right, we're coming back. Here we go. Oh, I'm not going to be able to read this all right now. But this, the Financial Times with the story that the draft of a mineral rights deal was sent to Kyiv. And according to the Financial Times, the new draft deal goes, quote, well beyond an initial joint economic accord. Hold on a second. As hammered out last month, as part of as President Trump's efforts to end Russia's invasion. It marks a dramatic escalation of the Trump administration's efforts to seize control of Ukraine's lucrative natural resources as it presses to bring in a conflict to an end. Quote, it would apply to all mineral resources, including oil and gas and major energy assets across the entire Ukrainian territory, and demanding that Ukraine and the U.S. set up a supervisory board to oversee a joint investment fund to split the income from oil, gas, and mineral projects between the two countries. And the U.S. would appoint 3 of the 5 board members. Now, first, I would say to the Financial Times, you're surprised by this? Because I am not. And I'm not surprised by this because it is not surprising to me that Trump would say, okay, let's make a deal and put on the table the wish list. Is he going to get it? I don't know. I don't think so. But as he has shown, he'll take a little bit less. He starts here. He starts with, hey, let's do a deal. Oh, this is the deal. That's great. Let's say this. Do you want this? Fine. The argument, of course, is that you're taking a nation that got invaded, that has had the snot kicked out of it by a violent aggressor that has no plans of stopping their violent aggression. And you're telling them, if you want out of this, if you want our help, that sounds great, pay up. The problem with what Trump is doing for a lot of people it's exactly what it comes across as. It's a shakedown. Oh, you'd like to keep your country? Well, maybe we could work something out. I think in one of the counters to that argument, the counter is, well, isn't this always been the way? We provide X, Y, and Z. You provide A, B, and C. That's the way it is. Oh, sure. We'll help you against the threat of whatever. And just remember who your friend is. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And that's it. I don't think people are used to it being written out like this. Do I think that this is the sign of a strong nation? No. I think that this is classic Trump, not necessarily classic America. We should want Ukraine to be independent and free. We should equally want to not extend NATO membership to Ukraine. We should want a peace deal, and we should want Ukraine to have to build itself back up on its own with, yes, indeed, some American investment. When there was the idea of investing in the mineral rights, you didn't see me have a problem with it, and I still don't. Somebody is going to get this deal. The Ukrainians can't do it on their own. You want our technology, you want our know-how, we got to get paid. And when we're doing this, well, that is the security guarantees, because we're not going to let anybody hurt all our investment. But then this whole deal went away, and it was a conversation about energy. Hey, you got some nice energy plants right there. Why don't we take those off your hands for you? We've got the expertise. We know how to run them. We'll keep the power on, and we'll both make money. This is nothing more than the takeoffs of those things. The problem is that it does not engender one to other nations. As a matter of fact, it is going to get a caustic response. Now, if you want the answer to be, well, Europeans and the others, they always have a caustic response and take advantage of us, forget them. Sure. Sure, go ahead. But what happens when they turn to China because China gives them a better deal? Once you put a deal out on the table, somebody else can put out the better deal. Now, you could kind of have back-ended into some of these things. You could have done it more on the sly. You could have said, well, there's some other guarantees here. Like, for example, not having Russia with the opportunities for further expansion, which allows for them creating a greater problem for us and the rest of the world. Again, it's the same thing is true as about the tariffs. People see things differently, and not everybody is going to say, oh, yes, United States, whatever you say. Do I believe we're the leader of the free world? Yes. Do I believe we should be messed with? No. Do I believe in flat out mutilating, destroying, ending, eviscerating the enemy? Should they try to hurt us? Absolutely. It's the Harvey Keitel line. You shoot me in a dream, you better wake up and apologize. I wholeheartedly believe that. And if I have to put the fear of God into some country with a couple of aircraft carriers, I'm in. You want to survive? Pay us? Well, that's an extortion racket, and that's something wholly different. Which is strange because in all these kinds of situations, money moves. It's just a question of how it moves. Ukraine signing with us a mineral rights deal would be standard. I feel the same way about Greenland. Are we going to get to own Greenland? No. Is Greenland going to work with people who are going to pay them? Absolutely. We want the military access that Greenland provides, and if they've got some good stuff underground, we'll help get it out. Oh, by the way, we're going to increase tourism by 50-fold. All those cute little towns, they're going to make a lot of money. Yes, America can do that. No question that America can do that. It's different to say, hey, we would like these investment opportunities, than saying, we're just taking it all, and that's the price for your survival. That is a departure in American policy, right? That is not so much emblematic of or reminiscent of the Marshall Plan, and it will be seen as negative. I think people have a hard time with that. That something Trump does can be seen as negative. But then again, they have a hard time admitting when they don't like something Trump does, because people who are all Trump all the time will go on the attack. Wanting to create a deal, fine by me. This one is, at least on its face, is rough. Now, do I believe that the Financial Times has it all together? That's why it's got to get read. What did I just say earlier? You have to do your homework. You have to check, double check, and recheck. It has to happen. You can't trust anything. You got to go over it. But one of the things I think the Trump administration should do as they're engaged in this reset, the reset has to involve building back the relationship. The relationship doesn't come from an all or nothing stance. It doesn't come from taking advantage of a nation when they are down. You want to build something long lasting, whether it's legacy or American safety and security long term. My God, that's not this. So I will double check this, go over it, and make sure that the Financial Times is actually discussing it the way it is. But don't forget, other nations have thoughts and ideas too. And never forget, if the United States can't make the deal, there's another nation like China or India that might want to make that deal. What's more in our interest? Getting paid or keeping the other guy from getting paid? Therefore, keeping them from power. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Guys, welcome back. Good to be with you. Let me straighten up. So what we've agreed on is the shirt is fine. Thank you. So Tammy Duckworth, the senator, saying Pete Hegseth is a blanking liar. Okay. So tough, so brave. Remember, I think that Tammy Duckworth lost both her legs serving our country. I think she can say anything she wants. I don't think it means that I have to just, let it pass without a comment. I don't think he's a liar. I do think that if you want people off signal, that's fine. Well, why not just be normal about it? Why does everything have to be this? Oh, I love this story. Love this story. I will do this story. The story's so great. It's so great. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm not going to tell you. You have to stick around. 1 minute. Very good. Very good indeed. Anyway, I'm glad you guys are here. I really do appreciate it. I didn't know, adding the live stream and Does it make sense? Is it something you want to do? Is it take away from the show? And for me, it's a bunch to get used to. How it was going to be accepted, how it was going to be received, and it's been fun. It has been very, very enjoyable, and I want to see if we can't grow it. I just, I do think I would want to do it a little bit differently. I still do, and it does mean changing the radio show and making it more like a television kind of program. But I don't like it seems like everything you see on cable news is exactly the same, and I'm not interested in that. So it's really a question of is there room for like the philosophical talk? I'm going to argue yes, because hell, you're here, so I gotta say there's room. So let's go do the thing. So we'll be extending out the live stream starting next week, getting a little more time under our belts, and then you might see some changes to a whole host of things, number of people we bring in, everything else. So stick around. I appreciate it. And now a Fani Willis update. Fani Willis, the prosecutor there in was it Fulton County, and going after President Trump on RICO and fixing the election, and then it turns out she hired her lover, Nathan Wade, and she's like, no, I didn't hire him just because we were having sex.
A bit late for that.
That's right. And we're not even seeing each other anymore. And just because she was paying him more money than anybody else got paid for coming in as a lawyer, and then he was taking her on trips that were being paid with cash, that's called a kickback. I'm still a guy who believes that happened, even though that hasn't been proven. The best is she out there saying that she's not with Nathan Wade anymore. Denied being in a relationship with him to begin with. So let me start with the most current, because there's Nathan Wade and Fani Willis at LAX. They're at an airport. There they are. Got their luggage, and she's tying her shoes. Oh, yeah, and then she's going to hand him some bags. Now he has to carry the bags. Right? That like the hired help Fani Willis treats him. And there they are walking together. It's not like they ran into each other. They're together, checking in together like any other couple would be. And this was her in 2024.
I have had conversations with him since you filed the motion, but they wouldn't be substantive to this. He sent me very nice sermons that have been done. And so
when did the romantic relationship between the two of you start?
Yeah, so we get into, there's been this effort to say that, okay, these exact dates are at issue, and these exact dates are, I'm getting signaled here.
Oh yeah, this is when his lawyer told him not to answer the question. Ended the interview.
Yes. Okay.
Let's go talk, because we can't answer this question.
Don't stop now.
The relationship doesn't exist, and there they are. Liars, all liars. Nothing maybe has been, and I don't think a deep enough dive has been done at all of the efforts to go after Trump and all these prosecutions, all these indictments, all these failures. Are we ever going to take enough time to look at, my gosh, look what America tried to do to a guy? You like Trump, you hate Trump, it's meaningless. If you're okay with lawfare, good gosh, you shouldn't be allowed in polite company. If you're okay with lawfare, you should have to register on a list and go door to door saying, hi, my name is so-and-so, and I'm fine with lawfare, because people should know how disgusting you are. Kids, don't go near that house. Gross. And they lie so brazenly. We're not in a relationship. We're not together. We're not answering questions. Here you are. What made you think you wouldn't be seen? You couldn't figure out how to fly separately? People would not have been paying attention to two different aircraft, two different airports, arriving on two different parts of the same day. You had to fly together? The criminal mind is kind of fascinating. The I'm not going to get caught mind is delusional. Everything you say will be used against you. Every text message will be used against you. Every phone call will be used against you. You don't know that already? Did you have somebody take a picture of you nude? And because if so, it will be on the internet. These two thought they could be together and no one would notice. Good gosh. And she got elected? I guess anybody can run for office. This is Tony Katz today. It blows my mind. Blows my mind. You can say anything you want about Trump. Do you know how tough you have to be to brush all that off? You know how tough you have to be to get past all of that? Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Guys, you are appreciated. Absolutely appreciated. Oh, this is video of Jasmine Crockett leaving with a police escort, a hearing. Why in the world does she have a police escort? It's very weird. She grabs somebody's phone. She is mocking the disabled. She does all of this. She needs a police escort. And by the way, how does it get authorized? Does the speaker authorize it? Or can they just simply ask the Capitol Police for it and the Capitol Police will oblige unless they're told by the speaker not to do it? Not sure how that works. Not sure at all. Anyway, we don't need to listen to Jasmine Crockett anymore. I appreciate you very, very much. I do have to run. We've got more radio at WIBC.com. Next week, we will go longer with the live stream, or at least going to try our very best to get that going and get that set. If you find everything at TonyKatz.com, I'd appreciate it. And of course, can't give enough thanks to Flederman Von Rees. Look at the beauty. That is in the Harborside turquoise right there. Absolutely love this. This is their Hanoverian, and you can find this at Von Riest, RIESTE.com, assembled right here in Indiana. This is a product of the Midwest, people, and it's going to look great on your wrist. Whether you want to make this your church watch or your daily, the choice is yours. Check out the chronograph, check out the small seconds, and of course the Einheit, which is their entry, and still a beautiful, beautiful piece. You are going to love it. It feels great on the wrist. Von Riest, RIESTE, vonriest.com. Guys, I will catch you tomorrow. Looking forward to it. Take care, y'all.